Here is a list of the most compelling comments we've received in the last 5 days. Want to get in on it? Leave a constructive and positive comment below to increase your chances, and we'll choose the best ones. Mom saw a note on the teacher's car and called 911. It has changed the teacher's life forever. When she saw how the police officer was looking at her, she knew something was wrong. But what was the reason for that? Why would he want her to open her car? Even though she claimed there was nothing inside of it that would interest him, he thought otherwise. The police officer had clenched fists and the tone of his voice was angry. People had now gathered around them. Soon everyone would know something about their favorite teacher that would change their minds about her. Millie Glynn was a single mom who worked hard every day to provide the best life for her twins, Sean and Molly. Being a mother who has a full-time job is a complicated situation, but Millie did her best. But the woman wasn't alone. She had the twins' teacher, Miss Smith, who would always try to help her out when she needed it. Miss Smith was definitely a stellar and devoted teacher, loved by everyone in the school. Millie could see that it was an absolute pleasure for Miss Smith to teach her kids and spend time with them. Nevertheless, soon she was about to find something about this woman out that would change everything. It was almost the end of school and everybody was excited about the summer holidays. Millie had to drop off her kids before going to work. When she was looking at her girls hopping along to the gates, she was in seventh heaven. They were growing up really fast. It had to be an ordinary day full of work, but then, out of the blue, the woman saw something that thwarted all her plans. While working, Millie had always been thinking about her kids and what they were doing. She'd never been worried about them as she was sure they were in good hands, but were they? Millie couldn't have known what she would soon get to know about her beloved teacher. When she returned after work to pick up her kids, she noticed something strange in Miss Smith's car. It made her blood run cold. There definitely had to be a mistake, right? So what was there that made Millie's heart pound like a stereo? In fact, it was a note with something written on it. When the woman read it, she immediately called 911. She had to act. Meanwhile, Miss Smith was finishing her classes for the day. She made herself coffee and sat back at her desk with a smile on her face. Then she heard someone knocking on her door. "Miss Smith, are you there?" It was her coworker. Then he opened the door and said a police officer was just behind her in the hallway. Something was wrong. Various questions popped into the woman's head. When she met the police officer, she got even more concerned. There was her boyfriend standing behind him. What was going on and why was Lewis involved? In shock, she asked Lewis what was wrong, but he just looked to the floor, avoiding all eye contact with his worried girlfriend. "Hi, Miss Smith," the police officer said, his tone authoritative. "I'm Officer Jones." Miss Smith looked at him with apparent fear in her eyes. Little did she know that in 15 minutes, her entire world would change. Then the officer asked Miss Smith whether she had her car keys. She took them out of her bag and dangled them in front of the officer. "Good. Now follow me into the parking lot," Officer Jones told Miss Smith. When the two were heading to the car, the boyfriend was keeping his distance. Maybe my license is expired, the woman thought, but she was so wrong. When they came to the parking lot, Officer Jones told Miss Smith his police dog had sensed something odd near her car, which meant he had to check her vehicle. The woman was confused, but soon she would have all the answers to her questions, and yes, she would definitely be baffled. Miss Smith unlocked her car and the officer took a look inside. At that moment, the woman was preparing for the worst scenario, yet she had no idea what was about to happen next. With every move the officer made while investigating her trunk, Miss Smith's heart skipped a beat. Luckily, her boyfriend finally decided to pull her closer and calm down. This helped the young woman breathe out and relax for a second. In his arms, she was always safe. She begged him with her eyes to help her out, to save her from the unknown officer in this extraordinary situation. But this was going to be far from easy. Miss Smith couldn't hold her tears back when telling her boyfriend she was innocent. Then, out of the blue, the officer let out a gasp and stumbled back. Just when she was about to get closer to the trunk to find out what Officer Jones found, her boyfriend pulled her back. His eyes were full of fear. What he was about to do was going to turn her life upside down. "That's what I thought," the officer said. "You're going to do life for this." He continued and made Lewis drop to his knees and put his hands behind his back. When he was handcuffing him, the woman was standing silent, completely terrified. The officer said to her to stand in front of Lewis as he went back to the patrol car to get his evidence camera. Her boyfriend must have done something terrible. But then everything changed. Lewis pulled his hands out from behind him and placed them in front of her, holding a ring. Miss Smith caught her breath while the officer was getting his evidence camera. capturing the moment and laughing. This had all been planned. It was an elaborate ruse. Miss Smith's boyfriend got down on his knee and asked her something most girls dream of. "My love, will you marry me?" he asked, while his Hollywood smile gleamed in the light. Miss Smith started crying, but this time of happiness. "Yes," she screamed and gave her boyfriend a huge hug. It was unbelievable, but was there even anything in their trunk? After the newly engaged couple embraced each other, Millie knew she had to tell Miss Smith the truth. She pulled her aside and told everything. In fact, when Millie arrived at school that day and saw a note on Miss Smith's car, it stopped her really cold. It made such an impact on her that she immediately decided to call Miss Smith's boyfriend, but what was written on it? "Love and live every day like it's your last." You see, it was a motto Millie lived by every day. She knew that Miss Smith and her boyfriend had been dating for a while and it all seemed quite serious. All that they needed was a bit of pushing, so when Lewis plucked up the courage and agreed to propose, they made an elaborate plan to impress Miss Smith and make this day unforgettable. And it was safe to say their plan worked well.